We're on a 7-night Alaska cruise aboard Royal Caribbean's Quantum of the Seas, and today we're in Victoria, British Columbia. Victoria, British Columbia was established back in 1843. It's older than Vancouver. Cruise ships bring about 800,000 people through Victoria every single year. Victoria is known as the City of Gardens, and the biggest garden, or the most well-visited garden, is Butchart Gardens, where about 1 million people every single year go to visit. In terms of cruising, Victoria, BC is known for 2 things. 1, whale watching, because the San Juan Islands are right around the corner, and they're known for orcas. And the other thing is that Victoria is kind of a stopover port, very similar to Ensenada in Mexico, and this is due to the Passenger Vessel Services Act, which we talked about in our Alaska planning video earlier in this series. So we only have a couple hours in Victoria. Let's get to it and let's talk about everything that we did on our port stop in Victoria, British Columbia. We're going to talk about what we did in Victoria, British Columbia first before we talk about all the stuff that we did on Quantum of the Seas on this last day of our cruise. We arrived in Victoria around 5 p.m., which is really late. Nicole and I did not book an excursion for Victoria because of this short time frame that we were in port, and we figured we would just kind of look around and see what was out there. So the first thing that we did as soon as we got off the ship at 5:30 p.m. was make the walk towards downtown. Victoria is a very walkable city, and there's sidewalks, parks, and all kinds of stuff to look at along the way. And then the downtown area is actually really nice. So what did we do in downtown when we finally got there?
The first place we came across once we got downtown was the Fairmont Empress, which is one of the oldest hotels in Victoria, British Columbia. It was opened in 1908 and has been serving guests ever since. This is a beautiful hotel with gardens outside, interior restaurants. You can even go there for afternoon tea. And fun fact, supposedly they serve over 500,000 cups of tea per year, and Queen Elizabeth had tea there as well.
After we were done at the Fairmont Empress, we kept walking through the downtown area and we stopped at BeaverTails. Now, if you've never heard of BeaverTails, it is very similar to the Klondike Doughboy. It's fried bread, but they have different flavors and different toppings you can put on them. So with how much I love the Klondike Doughboys in Skagway, we had to try BeaverTails. We tried the maple, or the maple, I guess it's got the EH from Canada in it. It has real maple butter, maple sugar crunch, and chocolate sauce. It sounds like a really good idea, but I don't think the chocolate meshes well with it, and I much prefer the Klondike Doughboys back in Skagway.
After finishing up our BeaverTails, we continued further downtown. They have several shops, mostly catered to tourists, but you can get t-shirts, maple, everything that you can possibly imagine, magnets, all your typical souvenirs. And those were really the only stores that were still open because it was so late in the evening at this point that majority of the mall and your regular day-to-day shops were all closed. But all of the ones that catered to tourists were still open for the late ship. As we headed down the street, we also came across Chinatown, which is the oldest Chinatown in all of Canada. And it was really cool to see Fantan Alley, Dragon Alley, really great architecture, super old buildings, probably, if I had to guess, some amazing Chinese food. Unfortunately, again, because it was such a late port stop, majority of the shops in Chinatown were closed as well, but the restaurants were still open, so if you wanted to have dinner, you could.
After we left Chinatown, we walked along one of the main streets near the water, and we saw one of the really cool whaling walls. It's an older one on the side of a building, and it's an orcapod, and it needs a lot of restoration, but you can still tell what it is. I love the whaling walls. We have one here in Dallas, Texas. It's just really cool artwork on a gigantic scale. From there, we walked over to the British Columbian Parliament building. Again, everything was closed, but we still got to walk the grounds and check out the architecture and everything that was in the park and stuff that was in front of it. It's a really, really cool building. It's very historical. Obviously, it's a Parliament building in Canada, so it's old and historical. I would like to go there when it was open. They do offer like lunch services, and it would be really cool to go inside that building. So if you're there earlier in the day, make sure you check that out and let us know how it is. Because we were in port for such a short amount of time, it was already time to head back to the ship. And on the way back to the ship, we stopped in Fisherman's Wharf. This is an area in the water, it's a wharf, and they have houseboats set up, along with shops and other touristy areas. It's really pretty. The houseboats are all decorated in different colors. It was a nice area to walk through, and it would have been really cool if the stuff was open again. There's only a couple restaurants open while we were there. If you've been to the Fisherman's Wharf area, let us know how it is in the comments. We would love to hear about it. I think we're going to go to Victoria earlier in the day, eventually, on one of our future trips, just so we can experience all this stuff and maybe do some whale watching. We walked all the way back to the ship, and then, of course, got back on the Quantum of the Seas. Nicole, what did you think of our short time in Victoria, British Columbia?
Victoria was a lovely city. Weather was fantastic. Super walkable. It was nice just to be able to stroll around, check out the sights. I do wish more things had been open, or that we would have been there longer so that we could have experienced a few more things. But overall, it's a very nice port.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love the historical aspect of Victoria. There's a ton of stuff to look at, ton of history. Again, I wish we would have done some sort of an excursion if we had more time. Maybe go whale watching in the San Juan Islands, or go to Butcher Gardens, or something along those lines. But with only having 5 hours, I think what we did was sufficient, again, for the time that we had. As I said earlier, we were going to talk about what we did in Victoria first, even though that was later in the day. Now we're going to go back in time and talk about everything that we did on board Quantum of the Seas before we got to Victoria. The first thing that we did early in the morning, it was probably around 11 a.m., was Captain's Corner. Have you ever done this on a Royal Caribbean ship? They usually get the captain and a few officers out, and they allow questions from guests who are in the audience of the venue you're in. This is a really cool experience. You get to hear and see things from the officers and the captain that you might not otherwise know or hear. Some of the questions were really interesting. We recommend Captain's Corner. It takes place in this 270 lounge on Quantum of the Seas.
After Captain's Corner, it was time for Harry Potter trivia, which is our favorite trivia to go and lose. One of the nice things about Quantum of the Seas is that they seem to realize exactly how popular this trivia is. So they actually held it in the Royal Theater instead of one of the smaller bar venues like it usually is. So there was plenty of seats for everybody.
Did we win?
We never win.
No, we did not. Still fun though.
After Harry Potter trivia, we stuck around the Royal Theater for a little while because they were holding the final rounds of Karaoke Challenge. So over the past few days of the cruise, they had been holding karaoke contests, and then all of the winners came together for this final showdown. Except for no one won. But there were some really good singers. So it was impressive.
Yeah, it's kind of like American Idol where people compete and then they win and then they go on to the finals. I couldn't believe how good some of the people were at singing on the ship. It didn't seem like karaoke to me. It takes place in the Royal Theater. It's something you should definitely check out. We also watched Perfect Couple, which is a game show that takes place in the music hall. And this is where they have couples, people that are either married or dating, do different types of party games to see who's the perfect couple. This is one of the more popular game shows that happens on board Royal Caribbean ships. The music hall, it's kind of hard to get a good view of the actual dance floor where they were doing the game show at. So make sure if you see Perfect Couple and you want to check it out, go there early to get a good chair either in the bottom floor or a front row on the second floor of the music hall. The other thing that we did on this day before we got to Victoria was a game. It was part of the Royal Caribbean Puzzle Break stuff, and it was called the Royal Mystery. And this was a mystery, like scavenger hunt or game, but it takes place in the music hall where your team, which was our family, was given a packet, and inside the packet was all the clues that you needed to decipher to determine who the murderer was, what the murder weapon was, almost like Clue, but on a grander scale. We had never done this or seen this on any of our Royal Caribbean ships or cruises that we've been on before this, and it was probably one of the best things that we did on our entire 7 days on the cruise. It was difficult. It took a little bit to figure out what we were doing, but it was really fun on top of that. So you had to take a clue. As soon as you figured it out, you ran downstairs to the bottom of the music hall, and then they gave you another clue. And it was just like, go, go, go. Let's try and solve this stuff. Let's try and figure it out. Honestly, I would do that every time on every single ship. It was super fun, especially if you like those mystery style games and maybe mystery podcasts that you're trying to figure out who did what. I thought it was awesome. It was really cool.
After getting back on the ship from Victoria, one of the evening's entertainment was adult comedy. This takes place in the Royal Theater, and with most Royal Caribbean ships, and in this case, it is the same comedian who originally did the family-friendly show earlier in the cruise, and then they always do an adults-only version towards the end. So we always check out the comedy shows. It's one of our favorite things to do. So if you see adults-only comedy, make sure you check it out.
So that'll wrap up our day in Victoria, British Columbia, which was our last port stop and our last day of our 7-night Alaska cruise aboard Quantum of the Seas. This was a long vacation for us because we had several days in Seattle before the cruise, and then of course, an amazing time in Alaska and in each one of our ports. Alaska is one of the best cruises that we've done, and we've done it twice so far, and we highly recommend anybody who loves cruising, loves nature, and wants to go to a really cool place, make sure you book an Alaskan cruise. I can't wait for the next one. I got off the ship in Seattle the next morning, and I was just like, I really just want to do another one of these cruises and go to some other ports that we have not gone to, or to do one of those land-sea trips where you actually get off and then take a bus or a train to like Denali or Dawson City. Eventually we're going to do that. So if you're wondering if you should take an Alaska cruise, take it from us. You 100% should. And Quantum of the Seas and the ports that we went to are awesome, and there's so much to see and do out there, and we just cannot wait to do it all again. When we left the ship to get back to the Seattle airport the next morning, we used Seattle Express, which is a shuttle company. It's about $20 to $30 per person to get from the Seattle cruise port back to the airport. It's quick, the bus was comfortable, and overall we used it in 2021 and we would use it again. They did an excellent job.
That wraps up our Alaskan cruise. If you have any questions about anything that we did in Victoria, BC, or anything about Alaskan cruises in general, please leave them down in the comment section below. And if there's anything that we missed or we should do next time, let us know as well.
If you want to help support our channel and you like this video, make sure you
like this video
and subscribe to our channel for more. It really does help us out, like dramatically. If you need us, we're going to get on the ship again and end up in Skagway and have some more Klondike Doughboys. I'm Travis.
And I'm Nicole.
Thanks so much for watching.